You probably got some war stories.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Surely give us the goss.
Oh, look, it depends where you want to start.
The worst, but no.
Yeah, I mean, there's heaps of crazy stuff in hotels.
Yeah?
Talk, right? There's everything from like the scandalous through to just the sad, you know? Like we had a hen's night who decided to put big black dildos on everyone else's doorknobs. So when they went back to the room at the end of the night, they had to get through a dildo first. Who knows where they had been, you know?
Jeez, this is the first 5 minutes of
That's it. So it starts scandalous all the way through to sad, where after 3 days, we do not disturb sign was on a door. And after a few days, we have to go in the room. We have to check to make sure everything's right. Father's OD'd, 4-year-old daughter's eating the minibar. You know, so that's...
Wow.
So if you really want to get into hospitality stories, it goes from crack up to... Wow, that's really sad, Stan. You've just killed the whole mood in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, a little bit.
Up to down.
Yeah, well, get ready for the emotional roller coaster.
Yeah.
Some of this. Guys, good.
You had no setup. It's like, yeah, fuck, I'll come.
Yeah.
What are we talking about? Yeah, all right, cool, sweet.
Fuck it,
Roll
do
it.
it.
Yeah, rolling. You seem comfortable too? You normally have to go through the nerves?
Nah, it's all good. Yeah.
All right.
We'll get there.
Okay, cool. Well, we've started now.
Yeah.
No, that's a good place to kick off. But I'll be curious. We're just talking off air.
Yep.
That you had a bit of background in the hospo.
Yep.
And you probably got some war stories.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Surely give us the goss.
Oh, look, it depends where you want to start.
The worst, but no.
Yeah, I mean, there's heaps of crazy stuff in hotels.
Yeah?
Talk, right? There's everything from like the scandalous through to just the sad, you know? Like you have everything from like we had a hen's night who decided to put big black dildos on everyone else's doorknobs. So when they went back to the room at the end of the night, they had to get through a dildo first. Who knows where they had been, you know?
Jeez, this is the first 5 minutes of
That's it. So it starts scandalous all the way through to sad, where after 3 days we hadn't. The do not disturb sign was on a door. And after a few days, we have to go in the room. We have to check to make sure everything's right. Father's OD'd, 4-year-old daughter's eating the minibar. You know, so that's...
Wow.
So if you really want to get into hospitality stories, it goes from crack up to... Wow, that's really sad, Stan. You've just killed the whole mood in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, a little bit.
Up to down.
Yeah, well, get ready for the emotional roller coaster.
Yeah. So that's hotels, and that's on a daily.
On a daily?
Yeah, that's the life.
Wow.
It's underestimated how like tough hospitality workers are, especially in hotels. Well, no, I shouldn't say especially. All hospitality, but hotels, you are literally providing someone a home for the night, right? So people do crazy stuff in their homes.
Yeah, they do. Other people.
Not us.
Stan.
I do nothing crazy.
Nah. Well, I can honestly say I've never stuck a dildo on someone's foot, so I'm in the spectrum.
Yeah. Somewhere in there.
How do you manage people like in the hospo? Because it's not necessarily. I've met exceptional hospitality workers that are passionate, and that's cool. If you love it, do it.
Yeah.
But then you also see the other side where people are just sort of doing it to pay the bills, not happy, wait until Friday.
Yeah.
How do you inspire and manage those people?
Oh, look, first of all, you need to be realistic about who your workforce is. If you've got, someone in there who's studying to be an engineer and they're just this beautiful mind and there's no way they're going to stay in hospitality, well, you just have to understand that that's what it is and use them appropriately. Like they are there to fill a need that you have, and they're happy to do it because they'll get paid for it, as they should be. And so you got to not put expectations on them that you would on your superstars who love it, it's their passion and want a career in it, And if you're a leader who thinks that everyone should thrive to be the best that they can be in their role, well, then you're just crazy. Like, that's not what people are doing. Understand your people, have a conversation with them. So for me, I've had all sorts, I worked in places like Surfers Paradise where everyone's transient. They're coming and going, but they work their asses off because they want the money.
Oh, yeah.
They're travellers.
Oh, yeah.
Right? They're doing 6 months with you. They want as much money as they can. They'll be the best workers you can find. But then they'll leave in 6 months. So you have to understand that cycle. Or Central Coast, New South Wales and Terrigal, where everyone was between 18 and 22, weren't sure if they're going to uni or what, still lived at home with their parents, young white Australian people who didn't need the money. They used the money to pay for their Saturday, Sundays.
Yeah.
They didn't want to work Saturday, Sundays either.
Oh, yeah. I'm sick, boss.
Yeah, I'm sick.
good on you.
Exactly. So you had to understand that dynamic too. That's what they're here for. That's okay. What can you get out of them? So, look, I think I said this a lot to a lot of people I meet these days in the professional services space, that if you want really tough GMs and leaders, go to 4-star hotel market and recruit. Like, you will find the most resilient and like diverse leadership you'll ever find, because they have to deal with all sorts all the time.
Yeah. All right. Well, I always thought of sales in a similar genre. Like, we had commission-only sales and management is what I used to do, and trying to inspire someone to go out every day, not knowing if they're going to eat tomorrow, and then instill confidence and belief. So any sort of, I guess, industry that has that underlying challenge, you really have to have the systems on point. So if I was ever going to hire someone, it would be from a company like APCO.
Yep.
Bit of a shout out, but it's in 27 countries, and the problem is that they had a class action issue against them because they treated contractors like employees, and they had these out of it sales games like Wolf of Wall Street. But aside from the people that did it wrong, the systems were pretty good. But all right, well, would that'd probably be an easy sell, because it's like transferring someone over. We'll get into your actual business soon, don't worry. But like transferring someone from that management role and dealing with these people that, transient or 18 to 22, and then coming in an industry they believe in. Wouldn't be a hard sell, really.
Wouldn't be?
Like, to transfer them over, or is it like a really, once you get to management, it's a good money, or is there something different once you get higher up? Or?
Look, in hospitality, it's a really to start with hospitality in the top level management, it's good. The money's there. It doesn't really start until you're in that, executive level, top tier management, and it's in 4-star and lower hotels, or not very big hotels with big food and beverage operations. It really doesn't start till you're a GM, the money. In the big 5-star hotels, the 500-room hotels with 4 outlets and all that sort of stuff, the money starts from the ex-com level, director of food and beverages and stuff. So there is that, and then those leaders are those leaders who have made it to that point, to the ex-com or GM, are very resilient, very business savvy, and they can do everything because they have to. Because you can't, in hospitality, it's such a low margin game, you can't just hire someone to do something. You have to figure it out. If you need, like as a GM, if I needed to understand marketing or anything, I'd have to go and Google and learn how to figure out, do that, and then do it. Get a business case to say it worked, and then maybe the owner would give you some money to be able to do it. But from a transfer of skills to other industries, it's quite hard, because hospitality, especially New Zealand and Australia, don't have a great reputation of hospitality in terms of like their professional abilities and leadership abilities. It's not the first place you'd think to look, you're not going to go, So a lot of professional services would look at them going, nah, where is all your accounting experience? Where is all your, but they're actually been in there running businesses. They're probably akin to small business owners. You know how if you go to someone who's been a small business owner their whole life, they know a ton about business, way more than most people do, if they haven't had a formal degree in it, right? Like just from on-the-job training. Well, hospitality is kind of akin to that, where they've just got the grey hair experience, because they've just done it for long enough. But giving them that chance is hard. Like most people, when they find out that I used to do hospitality, they're like, why do you do marketing now? Like how does that work? And I'm like, well, it's not that I do marketing. I run a marketing business. I'm a business leader. That's what I do first and foremost. I have a team and I manage them. That's what hospitality leaders could do. I always think there's probably a good opportunity for them to get into like COO roles, things like that.
That makes sense. Like, everyone talked about experience, but most CVs I chuck in the bin. Like I used to do recruitment with the sales. It's just like, all I care about is the mindset and the willingness to learn, and that their vision aligns with ours. Because nearly every salesman that I brought into the office that had prior experience had a full cup and didn't want to learn. And then they had to go through like weeks of not performing before their ego dropped out. So I would say the important part is the transferable understanding of people. And then also with the hospitality side of things is the resilience, the understanding, be able to have your hand in every pot like a small business owner. But how did you transition? from hospitality GM to, I'm going to do a marketing company?
Yeah, well, it started off actually, first of all, the catalyst was that I was, from my own opinion, pretty good at what I did. I'd had a pretty good career. I'd got up the ranks pretty fast and had a lot of success. And I had my first decent holiday in a while. I had left the hotel in a really good shape. I was obviously still there, just going on 4 weeks leave. I was going to Dubai in India. The hotel, we just had the biggest December by threefold that any other December had in that hotel. We had signed one contract for January that was as big as any other month in January had ever been. So just from one tennis contract. So I was like, okay, I'm the best at my job. No one can do it better. I'm going on holiday for all of January. The hotel's really good. My team were amazing. I'm going to enjoy my break. Halfway into the break, my boss sent me some emails that were coming from the owners of the hotel. And they were like, Stan this, Stan that, blah, 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 trying to throw us under the bus because I wasn't there. And they wanted me there. My bosses, don't worry, Stan, we know everything's good, but, just letting you know this is what's happening in the background. So that point was like, well, I just busted my butt for 12 months. I left in a great position. If it was my business, I'd be stoked with where we were. And then it was like the realization that this will be it for life. This will always be that. It's always going to be other people's money that we're playing with and we're dealing with. And I was like, well, I need to do this for myself. I need my own business. I need to be the own boss, answer to myself. And so that was catalyst. So that was the reason why I decided to get out of that industry. And then it was about 9 or 10 months of planning what that would look like. I actually wanted to get into more business advisory, business strategy. I thought that was where my expertise lied from a most transferable skill, to run these $10 million businesses and run them successfully. So I thought that's pretty easy transition into other people's businesses. Probably not at that level. They're probably only, 1 to 5 million is probably the businesses I'd probably work with. But every business I kept meeting kept asking me, how are you finding business? How are you generating your leads? Because I'd only just moved back to New Zealand. I moved back last October when I started it, and I kept saying, I'm using LinkedIn. How else do you find people? That's the only way you could possibly do it. And they're like, what? They just all gave me blank stares. Mate, it's a recruitment tool. That's how I find my new sales manager,
Yeah, here we go.
And so they kept asking for help with that. I taught them. I started realizing that I don't want to do this day in, day out, teaching people LinkedIn. So I productized what we did and said, I'll do it for you instead. And then one thing led to another. More and more people wanted that. Then lockdown happened, and then all the clients fell off the books, completely wiped down to zero. And then everyone who started coming back 2 weeks later, Stan, we just want leads. We just want help with the branding. We just want help with driving it. So all the strategy stuff fell away. And I said, you know what, let's just go all in on this LinkedIn marketing, B2B marketing. And that's sort of how that transition happened. So it was almost a little bit by accident, but it was just seeing the opportunity where it was and going for it. And, we had spent a lot of time last summer productizing the LinkedIn stuff anyway. So we spent a lot building the infrastructure to how to do that. So when that became the only opportunity, we could scale quite fast. We could take a lot of people on really quickly. So that's how, So
good adapting, man. Yeah. Well, it's the hospitality resilience.
That's it, right?
Just a bit of story on don't sleep on someone in hospitality. We had a guest on, Daniel. They can scroll back further.
Yeah.
But he couldn't read. At the age of 12, he started school because he was living out in the forest, learning this alternative school.
Yeah.
And then by 17, he loves ice cream. So he's like, why don't I work in an ice cream store? Starts working, slowly works his way up to head of strategy of the whole ice cream company, which is the biggest in Israel. And in between running strategy, because he would bike along on his little push bike and go from store to store because he's like 19 or 20 at that stage. Yeah. And he was giving advice, and they're like, he eventually got to head strategy because they said, you're actually already doing the job. So why don't you just say head of strategy? And then he became, he was on Forbes magazine, top most influential people under the age of 30.
Crazy.
So don't sleep on those people about hospitality.
Yeah.
So on that note, people with the LinkedIn side of things, where do people go wrong? Where do they start? What's your secret sauce?
Just turn up, everything, right? Most people don't turn up to LinkedIn. They, they can't. like for most people, it is just another social media. They're not really sure how to use it. It doesn't look like Facebook to them. And the history of LinkedIn is that it's a recruitment tool. You put your CV on it, right? So there's a lot of people trying to transition to understand that, okay, no, it's not just a recruitment tool, it's a professional network. So it's that mindset shift. And it's also, most people with social media don't have, the confidence or the time. Well, time's probably not really the issue, but they'll use it as an excuse to not be able to do stuff,
I'm
right?
so busy. 50 hours a week. Come on, mate. You got another 60.
Exactly, right? So it's about like, how do you, find the time in your day, build a habit around the daily stuff that you got to do. And it's really not that much. Like, most people think they'll say to me, how are you on LinkedIn all the time, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I'm really not. Like, if you look at my app usage, it's probably less than an hour a day. And that's my job. Like, my whole company's built on the platform and I'm using it an hour a day. So someone who does something else, you probably can get away with 20, 30 minutes a day. You can probably do that on the toilet, let's be honest. Like, you've got enough time there. So time's never usually an issue. It's just, a lot of it's confidence. Like, most people don't have the confidence to put stuff up. They don't think they're interesting enough. They don't think they have a story to tell. But if reality TV's taught us anything, is that the worst stories in the world are good. People want to watch them, you know? So, I mean, the biggest brands in the world right now are reality TV stars or people who are famous for being famous, right? Like, and good on them. Like, it's amazing. Like, they put themselves out there. Most people can do that. They just don't want to. And look, I think it's actually not for everyone. Like, just some things some people can't do.
Yeah.
They just can't do it. But for tips on where to go on LinkedIn is, one, just like get your profile set up. Like, just put in some effort. Like, you know, put up a profile photo is always a good start.
So many days. They're posting content with no photo.
Yeah, put up a profile photo. Your phone can probably do an awesome one these days. You know, just put it on portrait mode or whatever. And grab your CV, because you probably got a CV, and put that all into your experience and set up your profile. Just set it up. That's the first thing. And the second thing is just get in and comment. Be part of the conversation. You know, that's a lot of people get scared. They're like, oh, I don't know how to put up content and stuff. Just don't put up any content then. Just comment on other people's content. Comment on their hard work, right? You know? It's like coming here. You're doing all the hard work for this podcast. I get to be on it, you know, and but you get to leverage my network too. So it's like it's the same win-win thing.
Learning.
Yeah, exactly, right. And so people, if the same thing applies on LinkedIn, like you comment on their stuff, then your network's going to see their posts because they've commented on it. But then their network's going to see your comment, and your network's going to see your comment as well.
Oh, massively. And I always, like, from a sales perspective, just to keep bringing it in every 5 minutes, because I love it. I love people and understanding them. But I always look at the competitors and try and be better than the last. So what's the market doing? How can I do it differently? And what the market is very polished, very fake, and not reality-like. People keep saying, I won't show content until I've got it all worked out. But actually, you working out is the best content because people relate to it.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is, what are people really starved for on LinkedIn? Engagement.
Yeah.
So but then the like people don't see it. So if you comment, not only are you commenting and adding value, all their network is seeing it, and that person is appreciating the time you took.
Yeah.
100%.
Like the comment thing is, you can say it to people over and over again, but they just don't realize it until they start it. And like, so for instance, in our business, just this week, because we try to talk to our clients all the time and tell them to do more and more of it. I was like, that's one part we can't outsource for you. I'm not going to comment on your behalf because, that's ridiculous. Right? It won't go down very
Especially
well.
us, you'll say dildos or something.
Yeah, it's like, we're not doing that. But so this week we installed an automated text messaging system to text our clients. Like, it's what, text marketers would use.
Yeah.
I don't want to use it for that, but it's
I want to. Tell me, what is it?
The GSMS. Okay. But it's just to message them at different times to be like, have you done your comments, mate? Have you done your stuff? Have you done this activity, right? It's 2 minutes, just do it. It's just ridiculously powerful to be able to do it. I mean, it's why Twitter is still a thing, Like, most people thought Twitter would have died off, but with all the new sort of Instagrams and stuff like that. But Twitter's massive because it's people having conversations, and that's why it works. Conversations, like, everyone knows the comment sections are the best part. Like,
100%.
I love the comment section. That's where 50 minutes of my hour every day on LinkedIn is stuck in, is people's comment. It's just the tirades that happen in them are just so good. It's just such good entertainment.
I'll call it like even YouTube videos. Like the
YouTube.
video's already through. I'm like reading the comments.
Yeah.
Like
I love it.
The worst does my head in. Comments off.
Which one?
On YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
Some media outlet worried about brand perception. It's like, it's a conversation. It's a dialogue. Anything you do wrong, you can say sorry.
Yeah.
As long as you have good intent, you'll come right.
Yeah.
People will hate you for a couple months and you come right.
I get over it.
But the other thing on LinkedIn is people actually get a notification when you comment. Mm-hmm. So you've got these 10 people that have liked it. You comment, they all see it.
Yep.
And then anytime they like it, I just interact with them. But how do you do, like, there's a challenge. So, like, if you're scrolling through your feed, you can just comment. But sometimes it's some guy in California and some person in New Zealand likes them. Or it's quite hard to do targeted. So I use Sales Navigator. Is that what you recommend as well?
Yeah, we use Sales Navigator for all our clients.
Okay.
Yeah. Look, for a targeted comments, you mean, like to go after certain people? I mean, you can search by content. So the search function on LinkedIn...
But not by location, though. So you search finance and then...
Yeah. There's ways of doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's ways of like...
You don't
it's
give it away.
Well, no. It's a Boolean search, right? So you can use words like not and capitalized, and they'll work. So Boolean search means like it's taking it's not just taking the letters in it and doing a search on that. It's not Google, which uses some AI in the background and its special formula, but it's like if you use quotation marks, it'll lock that in as a string of text as opposed to individual. And capital and will be, I want to search this and that. It has to have both of those keywords in it, or can just be one or the other, not. So it doesn't include that. So you can get location stuff in there because you can have things like and Auckland, stuff like that. So there are ways to figure it out. It takes a bit of work. But, I mean, that's essentially our business models that will take that work off you, So and how to find that. And so you got to learn how to do it. But I mean, happy to tell people how to do that.
Yeah,
it's not really secret sauce. It's
applied knowledge they pay for, not unapplied. It's sort of Verity Craft. You might know.
Yeah.
Like what I'm using is so I target people that are 10 years in a certain company and industry, so they're close to retirement. And then a secondary connection, so that's someone that knows someone. I'm just doing it for them.
Yeah.
But then I find everyone that's posted content and I click on it and I just type some stuff. The whole network sees it. I made the mistake of only commenting on people that had like 10 likes or something because I was like, more bang for your buck.
Yeah.
But then you're spending 30 minutes to find that one person.
Yeah. And actually, where that goes wrong is that if it's got 50 likes and 40 comments, those 90 people are all going to get you a notification that you commented on that post as well.
Yeah.
And their networks. It does. So, like, the more on it, the more bang for your buck.
Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, you went the highway.
In the interim, I'm actually missing out on a connection with someone that would value it.
Yes. Okay.
So I do both now.
Good. Both
good.
Yeah,
I'll just keep hitting you up to critique me.
Well, that's it, right? It's like the two sides of the coin. One, you're going to get to a bigger audience, and bigger audience is good, reach is great, but also that one who's got hardly any contacts or any likes, I mean, they just got a comment, they never get comments. So they're stoked.
They love it. Yeah. Legit. And especially if it's not like a copy paste.
Yeah.
That's where it goes wrong too.
Yeah. Add some value to your comments.
And another thing they start for, apart from comments, is the opportunity content, which is what you provide. But another way, like you and I, we're doing this. I'm going to split it down and put it in a Google Drive folder, and you're going to use the content if you want.
Yeah.
Because content's hard to come by.
Yeah.
So not only that, people getting exposed through the commenting, but if you're providing content to an intermediary with the mutual relationships that's beneficial, or an actual client, then their network's being shown your content.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried that angle with the...
Yep. I mean, 100%. Like, whenever you do content, you should think about how many times can I get it up. Like, if I do a piece of content, how many places can I get this content put up?
Are you on TikTok then?
Well, I am on TikTok, but the only reason I don't have it on my phone is it sucks. That's the one social media sucks me in. My average use to screen time on that was like 4 hours or something. Like,
you can do it on your desktop.
Addictive.
You can do it on your desktop.
Yeah.
And just upload a video and then
bail. I think I need to. I think I need to because it's such a good platform.
Oh yeah,
it just sucks you in. Like, yeah.
Well, that's the thing. The two best platforms are LinkedIn and TikTok for free marketing. And if you become the guy, it's like, hey, I'm a TikTok expert.
Yeah.
But the problem, you think you get pushback on the recruitment?
Yeah.
There's so much. I don't dance. What do you mean you don't dance? It's a pipe. You put whatever you want in the pipe. And funnily enough, our demographic on our podcast increased in age because of TikTok.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. But anyways, we'll see if we'll get them onto it.
Yeah.
You'll be contributing to the Chinese spy technology. But,
yeah, that's fine. They already know everything about me.
Pretty much, yeah.
Well,
do you actually enjoy the marketing side? Like, what business would you run if it was just completely passion?
Oh, that's a good question. No, look, that's a difficult question because I actually enjoy the business running.
Yeah.
I actually love business. I love the concept. I love the thought of being able to build something from nothing. Like it still blows my mind that I have a business and have employees and have a team, and that still blows my mind because I'm like, where did that come from? Like over a year ago, I had nothing. There wasn't even a name. And now, like, you gave birth and there's this bloody fully fledged thing going on, right? So that concept blows my mind. I love it. In terms of, like, what sort of business that I'd love to do, there's just too many. The reason why I love marketing, though, is that, in the B2B space that I'm in, is that I think of this business as being a workhorse for future businesses. Like marketing is that first step in the sort of cycle of a business where people need to know who you are before you're going to be able to sell to them, right? And then be able to even deliver that service. So having a really strong B2B business, B2B marketing business that's like a real powerhouse that can do that really well, then I can start any business I want, throw them through that machine.
Yeah. Gary V model, really.
Yeah, exactly. Similar to Gary V's model. So that's kind of what we're trying to build, because I'll get bored of building this business at some point. And then I'll put someone else in charge of it and then start something else. And honestly, it doesn't matter what it is. Like, if it's from lawn care through to my own hotel, like, it doesn't bother me.
You sound like my flatmate. He did a law degree, finished it, and I was like, so what's he actually stopped before he finished the bar.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, I don't want to do this. And he wanted to, he's like, I want to run businesses. So I was like, what kind? He's like, I don't care, I like business.
Yeah.
So you do sound a lot like Gary Vee too. Gary Vee says the same thing.
Yeah.
But that's the whole thing. Like, the whole reason I'm building a personal brand is, one, it's a pre-qualifier. So anyone that comes across me, they may get upset or not like me.
Yeah.
Then they're never going to be a client anyways.
100%. Yeah.
And the second thing, it's a de-risk.
Yep.
So at any point, like, this whole financial game could change. Mm-hmm. So I've got a platform or a brand that I can leverage off and de-risk.
Yeah.
So is there a next step that you think you might consider? Apart from TikTok?
Look, from this company is just have the full B2B virtual team. Essentially, it's that. But from a next step and next business, there is one thing I've always kind of wanted is to have a really strong finance or accounting business. And the reason being is that, like, that's the second part of, I think, of having a really strong strategic financial business on being part of these other businesses I create. So it's more about so the marketing business and the finance business. The marketing business will grow into B2B sales too. That's the goal of that, to take it all the way through to those first sort of 2 steps of business cycle, right? Market, sell, and then there's service delivery, and then sort of client retention is the way I sort of think about it. Okay. But finance is just like a backbone of it all, right? Like, a lot of people sort of skim over the financial numbers part of it, but a lot of people don't like that part of life, looking at numbers and finances. So having a really strong arm there, those 2 businesses I'll own. My idea is own those 2 businesses forever. Yeah. And then every other business is about start it, run it through the machine, and sell it.
That makes sense. Well, I mean, because those are the 2 greatest needs. Well, next would be retaining great people. Yep. But the 2 ones is how to generate leads. Obviously, they should know how to service their clients, but most of us don't.
Yeah.
And then also the underlying structure and being cost effective, because most businesses I see fail are the ones that are buying their Lambos when they've only got $10.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think it's smart and strategic. But the challenge is you might fall more into the business strategy again, because the underlying bookkeeping is automated to a degree.
Yep, 100%. Needs to be.
Yeah. So what would be your offering? Like, would it be like the strategy again, or
It'd be it'd still be strategy first, but it would be you'd still have the infrastructure. I think you still need the infrastructure to do the bookkeeping and do the finances, even though that's becoming automated and a real commoditized service today. It still needs to be done. Still have it there as part of something. They're a very good revenue stream. So, yeah, I think that would be the model. Still have the full accountancy, but then have the CFO for hire sort of on top of that can then go into the business and be able to really add that strategic side. Like CFOs, all the ones I've dealt with, have a very different way of looking at life than, say, a CEO. But sometimes you need them at a certain level of business.
Yeah, 100% need them. I don't want to talk to them,
No,
you need them.
You need them.
Yeah.
So I think in early stage startups of businesses, you probably don't want them. They probably get in the way sometimes, as long as you've got common sense. You're not buying Lambos. But at a certain level, you need them. At a certain size, you need that reserved, more more thinking going into it, to go into your financial.
Yeah, because I think someone that navigates that quite well is another guest, Jeffrey Hughes. You may know him. He seems to know everyone. But he's gone on the networking side and he's working on the marketing space because he ran an entertainment business.
Okay.
And then his wife's an accountant. So now he just does the business and strategy side of things and mentoring, but the underlying thing is the accounting.
Yep.
I just thought I'd throw that name out there, but because if you
met him, but I have to.
Worthwhile.
Yeah.
Good bloke. He's full of those one-liners like you better build a fence at the top of the hill instead of clean up the mess at the bottom. Or like if you don't like the circus, don't hang out with clowns.
Yeah. Good.
So you got all that. So, all right. Well, talk me through you get the news about COVID.
Yep.
And you're leveraging off business strategy, and then suddenly you're like, all right, guys, we're going to do marketing now.
Yeah.
What was that conversation like? What was that feeling like?
Oh, look, it sucked. It was probably the first time in maybe my whole life that there was, I guess maybe the feeling is depression, like that. I was like, crap, like the last 6 months I've been building this and it all just fell away, and for a lot of people over that time, there was uncertainty. You didn't know what was going to happen. Like the world might have ended tomorrow. You didn't know.
Yeah.
You didn't know if it was going to rebound or what. So I actually, I ended up playing video games for 2 weeks straight and just eating everything I could put my hands on. And that's all I did. Didn't exercise, didn't do anything, just played video games. I just had to get out of my head about it all. Otherwise, it was just.
Were you a single operation then at that point?
Oh, we had a couple people with us, but all contractors at that point.
Okay. So you're like, hey guys, use the wage subsidy, take a break.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So, so at that point, it was still quite small and just using people as contractors. And so, that was another thing. I was like, for me, it was about, I had convinced my partner to move to New Zealand. She's Australian, and start this, right? And do all this, go on this big adventure. And then it all fell apart. So it was like, there was a lot there.
Yeah.
And I'm not that sort of guy. So I had these feelings. I didn't know what they were. So I was like, well, I'm just going to play video games till they go away. And then they did. And then I realized that.
Who needs therapy?
Yeah, who needs therapy?
What was the game?
Assassin's Creed.
Oh, yeah.
I just played, right. So I just cut up heaps of people.
Haystacks?
Yeah, that's it. Just assassinated all my feelings. And so I just decided, you know what, like, the only way this is going to work is I get out there and meet some more people. I can't get out of the house, so Zoom's working. And I just went on LinkedIn and messaged everyone saying, do you want to have a coffee over Zoom? Let's do it. Lock it in. Here's my calendar link. Book something in. And then I was averaging nine calls a day for the rest of lockdown. And then the business just started flying back in because, you just put in the work and did it. Got over myself and just started working again. And it all started flooding back in because everyone wanted to talk because everyone was in lockdown and everyone missed people. So they were all happy to have chats. And I just, like, from 9 a.m. through to like 6 or 7 p.m. every night, it was just, my partner didn't see me. I was in the room. She didn't see me for 2 weeks. I was just playing video games, and then she didn't see me because I was just on Zoom calls all the time. Yeah. But it was good, and it ended up being, from the 5 months from March through to whatever, it was 24% or something of my time. It was on Zoom, like, of my whole day. Like,
wow.
Yeah, it was just crazy. Someone showed me how to pull the stats out of Zoom of how many minutes you'd been on it, and something like 24% of my whole life had been on there for the last 5 months. So, a bit over a month in that 5 month period I'd spent on Zoom. But yeah, it was pretty scary. 6 months earlier, I'd given up this awesome career, and I was, a pretty young GM. I still had a massive career left in my insights for hospitality. To have it all come crushing down, but 2 weeks of playing Assassin's Creed just made me realize that, okay, you've got one last shot. Give it a go. You never know what's going to happen. It's either do that. You've got nothing else to do except play video games. You're not going to be a pro video game player because you're not that good. So just start talking to people. And then, that's what we did. And the business all started coming back. Clients that I talked to previously started to get some more certainty with what was happening. So they're like, okay, Sam, let's get back into this. But we only want to do lead gen and marketing. All right. So the company we just went full in on that. And then within a couple months, it just had grown so much we needed to hire more people and get in some teams in it. And now, the other day we were looking at the team and there's 24 people in our team now. And I was like, where did that happen? I didn't even know that had come about.
Wow. Wait, how many months? From 1 to...
That was from...
24?
I mean, when it all fell apart was end of March. So from April, pretty much.
That's scary.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a new problem.
Yeah. So now it's a new problem. I mean, for me, I love
You're
that.
used to it.
I want a big team. I love people. That was the best part. What I loved about my last job in hospitality outside of the business management side of it was the people side of it. I love having to manage people. That side of it's cool.
Yeah,
so,
wow.
Yeah, excited by that.
How are you sustaining the scale? Are you getting them to replicate what you did while you're on lockdown, except in person?
For some of them. Some of the staff are in the US, one's in Dubai and things like that, where that's what we're kind of getting them to do now. They've just sort of come on the last couple of months is just using their profile to find them people to speak to, and then they will, So it's similar model to what I did, and they're still in lockdown. In California, they're still in lockdown. Dubai, they can't leave Dubai, but it's similar.
Why there? Because I would have thought either you go to a cheap country or you have in-house, or do you have an existing?
Well, they're sales. So you want to go where the money is in sales. So Dubai, there's lots of cash, and my brother lives there, and so I know some people there. I had some clients there from him.
So they're servicing in that space, and you're... Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Yeah,
now.
And in the US,
Dubai.
Yeah. The US is
any princes?
No, not yet. It'd be nice to.
Our director of first impressions, Fiona, I think you missed her. She starts at 10. She worked in the Middle East, and she told this billionaire owned all these different banks and had a booger. Oh yeah. And they're real worried about saving face, and then obviously women listening to her. So she told him, she's like, look, you got to sort that out. And she's sitting with these princes and talking. Interesting world, mate. Yeah, so I'll be curious how you... What kind of business? What are the main businesses you deal with in Dubai?
Oh, mate, it's all sorts. It's very British.
Oh.
There's a lot of Brits over there.
I've never been yet.
Yeah, no, it's... Dubai is just a melting pot of different businesses. Honestly, everything. Because there's no tax. So that always helps. Because they don't have income tax and things like that.
No,
so they don't pay tax on anything.
That's crazy.
They pay in other ways, though, right? $17 was the cost of an espresso. Oh. Yeah, so they pay in other ways.
Your marketing would be dirt cheap. It's only this much.
Mate,
it's just 20 cups of coffee.
Exactly. The girl over there is we can easily double this price. Yeah. And so our model is to tell her, well, anything you sell over what we need to run it, what we do, you can keep. So she gets really, we want her to really own it.
Yeah.
So she's like, yeah, cool, let's do this then. So if she can sell it for more, then she'll take a bigger chunk of what we do.
What are the challenges being international?
Just communication.
Just keeping her motivated and trust? How do you mediate the potential risk?
Well, see, the thing is that she is essentially plugging into us. So our risk is mitigated that if she wants her client's work done, she's got to go through us anyway, right? She could run off and steal our idea and start her own team and whatnot. Oh, well, there's plenty of fish in the sea, right? It doesn't matter. She ran off with a few clients and good on her. Yeah. The goal is to provide her with a platform where she doesn't feel that that's a good option. Well, why should I do that? I'm still making good money and he takes care of all the crap. So it's about trying to do that and try to give her everything she needs to build that and I guarantee I'll get done over by someone that we do this way.
Yeah, it's business.
Who cares? Like, I'm not putting all my eggs in those baskets, right? Like, I'm still the main salesperson for the business. I still bring in the most revenue, and that probably won't change for a while. I mean, I'd love for it to change. I mean, that'd be amazing if all the other guys started smashing me. I mean, that's good for me. But yeah, you can't be afraid of that. Like, if people are gonna do it, like, it's gonna happen. I know it will happen. Like, you got to be stoic about that sort of stuff. Like, just be prepared for it. And if it happens, be like, all right, cool. All right, see you later.
Well, the funny thing is, the more responsibility and I guess investment you put into someone, the more loyalty you get out of it.
Yeah.
And there's always that point where someone takes them away, but it is what it is. It's just a part of the beast.
That's it.
What on the, because you had those two businesses, the ones you're thinking the future, the business and finance side of things. What are the, honestly, I've only ever dealt with national sort of business. Is the paperwork more frustrating? Is there tax implications?
For international business, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, look, it is. But the way we've got it structured at the moment with the current guys overseas is that they're contractors, and they're not on an employee salary. So that helps a lot, because there's no employment law happening, and I don't have to get into California employment law or Dubai employment law. They have their own in both countries, they've got their own businesses that they invoice me for. So they just become a supplier arrangement, right? Like, they invoice me for the work that they've done and I pay them. And their clients pay me through our portals. So, from a paperwork point of view, no, not really anything. The only real part, the biggest expense has been privacy policy. With the privacy policy changing 1st of December, we got all that ready back in September, October. To be ready for it. So, using virtual machines for all our staff so that we have central control of those things for leaks and stuff like that, using password managers, and just how much protection goes into the data that we collect of clients. And we have access to people's personal profiles. Yeah. So there's a lot of opportunity for data to be breached. And so it's just about how, honestly, it's overkill. We've got complete overkill in terms of our security, but you have to. Yeah. And so that was my biggest concern a couple of months ago. So we've spent a bit of money getting that to where it needs to be. We've got some good suppliers. Our IT guy, Zoltan, he's got us on lockdown. That's
You got an IT guy in-house?
Yeah. Oh, no, he's a contractor.
Oh, okay.
He has his own business. But yeah, he's got us on lockdown. Everything is monitored. When I say monitored, not monitored on what we're doing, but monitored on making sure, phishing emails and all that sort of stuff, right? People trying to impersonate other people and stuff. I had a VA at one stage when I just needed someone casually to do some casual VA work, virtual assistant work, and someone reached out to her saying they were me, and said to her, I need you to go buy some Google Play cards, $500 worth, and then text them to me, and gave her an Australian number, and she did it. And she was like, I didn't want to let you down. I was like, well, one, I'm in New Zealand, that's an Australian number, and two, that wasn't my email address. And so this poor girl who, at the time, she was in Sri Lanka. Yeah. So $500 was massive for her. Yeah. But, her company was like, don't worry, we'll figure it out. We'll take care of it. So it was through an agency. So they're out there, people out there, and they scan, and it works, right? So that sort of stuff, got to get a lockdown, all of that. But that same process can also get people to be like, hey, can you give me the passwords to such and such? I need to get into their account. I'm not at my desk. And one of our staff might be like, oh, yeah, okay, no worries, Stan, I'll get you so-and-so's password. And then that password might, if we didn't take the right precautions, for a lot of people, their password for LinkedIn is probably the same as their internet banking. And so, then they've just got everything. So all our passwords for all our clients, anyone that we manage anything personal, it has to be a unique password to LinkedIn, and then only the account manager has access to view that password. Everyone else on the team can't see it. They can just use it with the password manager. So things like that sort of stuff it's pretty scary. Cybersecurity is, So that's probably our biggest sort of worry about international.
That's quick moves, mate.
Yeah.
24 staff now. You got processes. What?
Oh, mate.
Slow down.
That's hospitality.
Yeah, that's how they.
Well, it's paramilitary, right? Like hospitality, like because the chefing world, right? The chef's a paramilitary organization, right? You have the structure like that, right? Like it's all hierarchical, and like chefs still wield a lot of power in hotels, but in restaurants. So that military sort of style is about everything's in steps and processes, everything's in SOP, everything has to be broken down. And in hospitality, that really makes sense because you have a lot of turnover and transient staff. You have to be able to train someone in a couple of hours straight away, right? So for me, just that same mentality applied when I started my own business. Everything is mapped out, process driven. Salesforce automates a whole bunch of stuff.
Salesforce.
Microsoft,
All right, good. I was going to ask you what your source of truth was.
Yeah, Salesforce.
Sales Cloud?
Yeah. So we made that switch over in, when was that, June or something, July, I can't remember. Yeah, June, in between the two lockdowns. We made it over. The only reason I went with it in the end was because I found someone local who could teach me it. She was a local consultant. She didn't work for Salesforce, Penny. She's amazing. She came over. She sat next to me and helped me put it through the business and showed me how to do all the back end and do everything. Because it's like everyone's going, oh, Salesforce is expensive, but actually the subscription's pretty okay. Yeah. And you can always grind them down to a better price. Like I argued with them for ages till I got the best price. Most of my team are on a $21 a month subscription. So
with a license, individual license. Is this a small business one, or is this the enterprise?
No, it's just because some of them they don't need certain things, and then there's this license that they don't tell you about, this platform license, which the operations team don't need. They don't need to. They're not doing sales, but they need to get access to the information in Salesforce. So there's a platform license and stuff. So the subscriptions are fine. But the implementation costs, oh man, that was a rort. $5,000 is just a basic implementation.
Yeah, no, it's insane.
So that was a deciding factor. But yeah, Salesforce is awesome. Like we're hoping the Slack acquisition that they've had will go well.
Yeah, well, they're doing a lot of smart moves. I think the biggest driver for us to get Salesforce, and we're still on the implementation side, so maybe I should talk to Penny.
Yeah, for sure.
I got to teach myself everything as I go. It's not fun.
Nah.
Because that's the thing. It's a very powerful tool, but even the people you call it Salesforce don't understand it because they're innovating every day. But that's the thing. In our industry, there isn't a whole lot of innovation, and it's really built on relationships, which is a positive thing. It's just once again, like I was talking, be better than the last. It's like, what are the competitors not doing? So if you're able to utilize Salesforce to be more personalized, like let's say you said a few key things while we're talking about your background and what you went through, and then also things that you like and that Assassin's Creed. So maybe I put a note in Salesforce. Like it'll track when the next Assassin's Creed comes out, and then it turns up at your door. Thanks so much for coming. I won't get there. I'm building on it, but I'm just saying, like that. There's so much opportunity. Is there like ways you're thinking that you could use Salesforce to innovate?
Yeah, for stuff like that for sure. Like collecting data on clients about that sort of stuff, which again goes back to this privacy policy on what you can collect and what you can't, and they have to know everything you're collecting too. So it's about like how do you collect data that isn't creepy, because like. I mean, look, Assassin's Creed stuff's sort of fine, but if you start putting things in like their dog's birthday and stuff like that, it's like, well, some people will be, oh, that's amazing, and other people will be like, hey, that's a little bit too personal for me. It's like a real fine line. And with the new privacy laws, you have to give it up, right? Like if they ask you for all the data, here it is. This is what I have on you. So that's something we're sort of toying, like how much do we collect and what should we collect. But yeah, in terms of innovation, for us as marketing, it's about how much we can, like AI, for instance, right? Like if you know much about like OpenAI and GPT-3, have you heard much about, like Elon Musk is a big supporter of, big sponsor of OpenAI, investor, and GPT-3 is their new model, and like it was like 1 million-fold improvement on GPT-2. Anyway, I wrote an article in The Guardian, and the question they asked was, can you convince humans that AI won't rise up against us and kill us? And it wrote this big article, like massive, like you have to read it. It's a Guardian article. This is written by a robot, and it's amazing. So that sort of stuff, like if you do a lot of copy content and you're not looking at GPT-3 right now, you're going to get left behind. Like, it's going to be able to just take everything you've ever written and then write for you from then on. Like, so,
Thank God.
It's crazy. Like, already there's some firms out there now, like we're with a couple who are really experimenting with it, but they're doing like headlines, like headline writing copies, like things that work to get the psychology of people to make them click on your headline, or Google ad text, what works best on that, because this AI is scanning the web, it knows what people are clicking on and what people are going. It's like, well, what are the common threads between these links? And then, okay, well, you want to do your topic on financial planning, so this is how you should write your Google. This will get you the most clicks. So stuff like that, whereas at the moment that uses human subjectivity, which is never good. No. So like AI is about to, so that sort of stuff, like being ready for when that is mature enough that it's just a subscription like Spotify, that's where you want to be a part of if you do any copywriting at all, anything. It's coming, and it's going to put a lot of people, like a lot of copywriters, out of business, but also if they're smart, they will train it. If they train it right and they have the tool to use for their customers, and it's no different to having Xero as an accountant now. Yeah. Xero didn't get rid of accountants, allowed them to do other stuff, allowed them to be more strategic thinking. So copywriters can be more strategic thinking around the copy of where you need it and where you need different stuff, and then have a tool that does it for them so they can do more volume, right? So, but as a marketer, or even as someone like yourself who's, doing a lot of self-promotion and a lot of that sort of stuff.
Scale.
Yeah. Just, imagine all your blog posts daily, you can just have this machine doing it for you, but it's speaking like it's you. Yeah. You got to feed it though. That's
very tricky, like that Twitter robot with Microsoft.
Yeah.
People... For people that don't know, the people realized there was a robot and learning from their language, so they started saying really messed up things, and it learned that's how it communicates. So, but anyways, on that note, as we wrap this up, we'll bring it to a more wholesome thing. Yeah. What would be something that you want people to remember this podcast about, or about you, or like a closing remark, and also how do they find you? Yeah, well, maybe start with how do you find me. So I'm everywhere. I am on TikTok. I just don't use it because it sucks me in. But fair enough. Yeah, LinkedIn's probably the best place to do it. That's where I put most of my efforts into. So yeah, just LinkedIn / Stanley Henry. But look, probably the biggest takeaway for me, what I say to a lot of people is just be part of the conversation, get in there and talk to people. And that LinkedIn, especially as a platform, but all the platforms actually, is people love having conversations on platforms. They love getting in those comments. So if there's one thing you're going to do and you need help marketing, or you need help pushing your brand out there, just get in that conversation. I mean, that's how we've connected, right? Like just having those conversations with people, and you don't know where those opportunities will lead, So, massively. All right. Good way to close it, mate. And everyone that's listening, you know what I'm about to say. It's rate, review, and subscribe, because we need to get this message out. Good people like Stanley here, sharing and imparting his hospitality knowledge, and don't sleep on hospitality GMs, because they'll turn a one-man band after Assassin's Creed into a 24 team, and Dubai as well. Yeah. Out of it. And yeah, anyone that doesn't want to sound like they're mumbling and that everything's cutting in and out, audio is one of the most important things in a video, and in the future as well. Like if people can access a product through voice, it's going to be so convenient. Yeah, huge. So if you want your audio conveniently edited, nzaudioeditors.com. Cheers, Stanley. Awesome. Thanks, mate. Appreciate it. Mate, killed it. Fuck, eh?